Yes, I was on quite the mission this past weekend in Quesnel. My mission, if I chose it, was to make sense of two syllables that summed up kids dancing a traditional dance in the park,
It's coming.
people painting an infinite landscape, and a man serenading a bunch of chairs. My mission was to try to understand what the word culture meant to this little town.
For me, when I saw my mum spontaneously, with joy, start to do an Irish clog dance, listening to a Don Messer tune on the radio. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now when I look back on it, for me, that's culture.
Teacher, artist, author, full-time museum installment, and the voice behind that last quote, Bill Coughlin is the artist in residence at Quesnel's museum. He's one of the 20 attractions at Quesnel's very first Culture Days. Sketching and shading stationary museum artifacts onto sheets of paper, Bill was my first bet at trying to understand the cultural melting pot that is Quesnel.
Well, it's amorphous, as I think the culture is in most cities and towns in North America. It's a culture in transition, and I think a culture which in 100, 200 years will look back on these artifacts in as fond and as important a way as we look on the artifacts of Iran, China.
History and artifacts are just one part of what defines culture, though. And that's kind of the point behind Culture Days. It's to discover the little things that make up the cultural fabric of where we live. Last year, 970 cities across Canada took part in this late September event to celebrate what culture meant to them. With over 100 volunteers and events ranging from making origami birds to designing a community nest for those birds with impeccable taste, Quesnel's Culture Days gave me a unique look into what made this community tick.
This is the first year that we're having Culture Days. We had a meeting in June and we had several people that showed up, and so we're really thrilled because we have over 20 activities that are taking place.
Painting art, that's visual arts. It's part of culture, but it's not all. There's dancing, there's drama, there's performance, there's like just going on hikes, there's cooking, there's, culture is really wide, there's history, so the museum's open with lots of different things. The point of the Culture Days is to get people's hands on so they can try things.
And it costs nothing to come out here and experience these activities during Culture Days.
It is free. All of the activities are free, so there's no barrier to anybody. It's just really for people to meet artists, meet different people in the community, get to know what's on offer.
It just includes everything in your community. So like the farmer's market is part of it, going for a walk, all the different activities that we have and organizations that put on things in our community. And so this is just all part of our culture in our community.
The learning works both ways too. Even the artists and the organizers walked away with a better understanding of how to showcase Quesnel's culture for next year's Culture Days.
I think right now it's something new, and it's appealing to the already converted. We need to bring into the museum people who've never been in the museum and in the art gallery and so on.
So what I expect or what I hope of the event in the future is there's just more on offer. We want this to be a city people come to visit. We want this to be a city that people want to live in for quality of life. And it's also just not all the resource, right? Our economy shouldn't be just based on the resources. We want to broaden it. And certainly culture is part of that.
So what does culture mean in terms of Quesnel? To me, it's a smile on these kids' faces. It's a willingness in this man's voice to sing to whoever will listen. It's this passerby who gave up his gym pass for the day to come paint with this local artist. To me, it's this community's ability to amalgamate the best of the past and the present to make a future a better place for everyone that lives here. For Go on Shaw TV, I'm Anand Chandy.